Okay. Hi everybody, Christian here, back again. And this is the third video in the series that I started last week by talking about the importance of decongesting the exterior. The important concept from the first video is think of your organs as the interior of the body. The exterior is not external to your body, it's the outer portion of your body. Your skin and body hair, your muscles and flesh, and your bones and your joints and sinews, right? That's the exterior. When we talk about decongesting the exterior, you want to prevent, just like I've divided the pivot protocol into two stages, two phases. Phase one is stop digging your own grave. Stop creating your illness. People write to me every single week like, oh my goodness, I stopped doing this and look at this, my symptoms went away in a day, or within a week I felt so much better. It's like, yeah, that's real healing. Most people have no concept that a lot of the things that we have control over and choose to do on a daily basis can create illness. Now, there's some things that happen on a daily basis that you can't choose you can't choose to do or not do them. Like, time passes, your body gets older, your organs get less efficient as you get older, and your body is breaking down. Well, you don't have a lot of choice over the passage of time. I mean, your choice is to die, and then time no longer matters to you. But if you're alive, certain things are happening anyway. So we don't worry so much about that, but I know that a lot of digestive illness, like things that result in chronic acid reflux, for example, have plenty to do with people obsessing over things that they have no control over. So we don't want to ignore that entirely, but you don't have control over very much. So you need to focus your time and your effort and your skills and your learning on the area where you do have control. In general, there's this huge area that you have no control over of, which, if you just put one label on it, it's you're mortal and you're going to die. And if you're going to die, the wisdom of the ages says, make the most of your time while you're alive. And so our question that we're trying to answer is, how do you live to make the most out of the time that you're alive? And the answer to that, broadly, although we have to answer it specifically, the broad answer is, well, you don't spend your time on earth being sick. You want to do everything that you can under your own power that you have control over to not promote illness in your body. So if you didn't know, for example, that antibiotics are horrendous for you, and your parents kind of didn't know, and you went to the doctor and they told you to take these pills, and like you didn't know that, but you had antibiotics so often as a kid that your entire digestive system is just a wreck, right? It's like a bombed out, city in Somalia or something, right? It's like it's such a disaster. There's no easy way to rebuild it. But you're an adult now, hopefully. I mean, if you're watching this, most of my students are. And so you have some control over that, so let's focus on how to fix that. One of the ways that you fix it is not to create problems in your system, and this concept that I'm giving you about your organs are the interior. Your flesh and muscles, your skin and body hair, and your bones and your sinews are the exterior. And if you eat things that go into the interior, into your pivot organs, and then you produce any kind of inefficiencies, any kind of sludge, residual runoff, impurities, your organs aren't working the way they're supposed to. Most of that is dealt with in the master class. I teach you exactly how to heal your organs in the master class. But the phase one material is, well, let's just stop that process of causing illness for your body. And so if we stop the process of causing illness in things that we do have control, like what you put in your mouth, what you eat, what you decide, what you focus on, what you decide to think about during the day, then we can at least help prevent the onset of illness. And one of the things that prevents serious illness in your body, and the reason we're talking about decongesting the exterior, is if you stop creating inefficiency and impurities from being produced in your internal organs, then the internal organs don't put that, because the process, it's made inside your organs, and then whatever's there, healthy blood, right, good healthy fluids that help your body function and work right, or the big one for people with acid reflux that we're focused on, it's one of the main types of acid reflux, as I'm teaching this to you, is dampness. If you produce a bunch of mucus and sludge and impurities, and all this stuff is coming from your organs. Now, if you're a student in the Pivot Protocol, you know what's causing this. You know the model that I'm teaching you about how your digestive fire is here, and you put the food in the pot, and the fire under the pot has to cook this, and then if it's not strong, you get all this waste that builds up and builds up and builds up, and it actually accumulates in your intestines. What happens with that? Well, it doesn't go away. Your body has to do something with it, right? And if you can't eliminate it, which is the normal pathway, then you get dampness going to the exterior. Decongesting the exterior means stop creating it. And then, right, and the key point for today's takeaway is how you can clear the exterior by non-dietary means. I went into this a little bit. Video number 2 went a little deeper into these different medical maps, I'm calling, like a map of, right, modern medicine has a good map. If your body was a machine, that would be a great map. And to the degree that you can treat, like your heart is a pump, right? It's a mechanical thing. So your body is kind of a machine. It kind of functions like a machine. If you break your knee or break your leg or something, well, your skeleton is kind of like a mechanical device, right? Except that for human beings, right, the big key is that we also have this weird realm, our invisible realm, the psyche, the mental processes, the thoughts and feelings, especially, right, how you think about the world and how you feel about how you think about the world also complicates the functions of your organs. So the map of modern medicine that says your body is a machine, and we can keep the machine running if we know where the problem is, and we can see the problem on an X-ray, or, right, there's a lot of heavy bias in modern medicine toward physical proof of illness. Well, you can't provide physical proof of illness if the illness is caused by, anxiety and this and that. So we have a realm of psychology and psychiatry, but it's very wishy-washy, right? There's not good concrete things that we can do. Some people get relief from it. Mostly what you get is mood drugs, right? To drug your mind, right, out of causing these problems, to drug you out of being anxious and drug you out of being depressed and all the rest. And I'm not making light of those conditions. I'm not at all. I'm saying that there's probably a better way. And also, when I studied medical systems the way that I did, I found that there was a better way. These ancient medical systems have a really elegant way of understanding the mind-body connection, and it's a very specific model. It's not a New Age model. The idiots in psychology who basically feel like their whole claim to fame was they pioneered, a way of looking at human mental health, that happiness is health, right? So if you're not happy, you're not healthy, right? Which is about the dumbest discovery, right, that anybody has ever made, really, in medicine, because obviously there's plenty about life that causes you not to be happy. So then people run around thinking, well, I'm not happy, so something must be wrong, and it's like, no, that's a very shallow interpretation of what it is to be human. There's probably something beyond being happy, because you're not even that happy that much of the time. And people who are so happy, we have a name for that, right? It's called mania. And people who are too damn happy, the problem with being so bloody happy all the time, like 2-year-olds, is that when you're not happy, you forget, right, that situation changes. And people go into serious manic depression. You fall off mania into a deep depression, and then some of these people can't get out of the idea that it's like, so you're not happy, and that's even more upsetting because you should be happy, right? And so you're causing all these problems for yourself, not knowing, right, that there's a better way to look at how the mind and body interact. And a lot of that is contained in this program, even though I haven't really focused and talked about it. The purpose of today's video, and the point I want to make, is there's one complicating factor that accompanies dampness congesting the exterior. When your organs produce dampness, and you should really know this process. So this is a free video. If you're not a student of the Pivot Protocol, I just encourage you, learn how this happens. Once you learn how to stop producing dampness, and then, as I'm teaching you in this video, what to do about dampness once it's already clogging up the exterior. Why do we care about that? Because most people with symptoms, if you have acid reflux, you have other symptoms. You don't just have acid reflux. Most people with acid reflux are dealing with like IBS and joint pain and fibromyalgia and muscle pains and maybe an autoimmune condition like lupus or rheumatoid arthritis and all kinds of other things. Or maybe it's just mild and you have head fog. Or maybe it's, you know, something else that's subclinical. You go to the doctor, they're like, we don't see anything wrong. It's like, yeah, but I feel horrible. Well, when you decongest the exterior, most of your daily symptoms are in the exterior. We're already dealing with the imbalance at the interior level. We're trying to fix your organ imbalance. I said that's what the advanced masterclass is really teaching you. How do you make your organs work in harmony again? Well, that's the root. That's the root of the problem. We have to treat it all the way down there or else nothing happens. You can't get rid of your condition. There's no recovery without fixing the root. So the Pivot Protocol fundamentally is teaching you how to fix the root imbalance at the root level so your organs work in harmony. But as far as getting relief goes, we want relief in the exterior, in the area where your symptoms accumulate. And so decongesting the exterior is important because it's about quality of life. Now, it goes deeper than that. If you decongest the exterior the way I teach you about today, my goodness, decongest it, it's a bidirectional, it's a two-way street. The interior creates the problems in the exterior. How could it happen any other way, right? Your internal organs create the problems that end up in your musculoskeletal system. It's another way of saying that. And also, when you clear the exterior, you benefit your organs. So one of the ways that you benefit your interior, your organs at the root level where your root imbalance is actually causing your acid reflux and other digestive problems in the internal organs, one of the ways you benefit your internal organs has nothing to do with diet. The number one complication when you have dampness congesting the exterior is what's called in this very old medical system, and actually one system out of Asia has a special term for this. And the term itself is very, very revealing. So I'll share with you what that is and what it means and why it helps you think about your condition the right way so that you can solve it. When you have dampness, you get what's called blood stasis. Now, stasis means something that's stuck, right? So, stuck blood. Does it mean your blood actually isn't moving? Well, yes, it kind of means that, but not exactly. Because if your blood stops circulating, it's because you're dead, right? It's because your heart isn't pumping it anymore. So, it's not exactly that blood isn't circulating. It's close, but here's how you get really clear. Here's how you get the exact understanding. Because having a clear mental model, having a clear mental picture of what your condition really is, so that you can feel how the symptoms, it's like, yeah, that dampness thing, that is what's happening. I have all this mucus in the back, and you know what? My joint pain, and I stopped producing so much dampness by following what he said in phase 1, and oh my God, my symptoms of pain in my musculoskeletal system are better, or my head fog is better, or et cetera, et cetera. Okay, so we want to make the connection between the symptom, cause, and then the effect of treating it as if we understand it in this really, really clear mental model that I'm trying to give you. So you have dampness, blood cannot circulate correctly, but it's more than that. In Asian lingo, this is known as blood stasis, and in Asian language they use pictures, right? Like Chinese, and Korean, Japanese. These are they call ideograms, meaning that there's an idea, and the idea is represented as a picture. Now, this is so different than Indo-European, Western European languages like the one I'm speaking now, and like the one that no doubt everybody who's watching this also has learned, even if you've learned other so-called Latin languages, but even Germanic languages. Indo-European languages are so different from these ancient Asian languages that those people who created this medical system, they actually think differently. And so what happens is most people in the West, in Western countries, some of the people I studied until I figured this out, they study these ancient concepts and then try to teach them to other Westerners, and it's completely wrong. It's a total mess because the translation is off. So it's not right to say, oh, a lot of people call it blood stagnation. It's like, no, that's not correct. Stagnation is a technical term, and stasis is a technical term. And where's the standard that tells you which definition is exact, and what's the missing information here? In ancient Asian medicine, the ideogram, the picture in their language is blood. It's the image of blood, whatever that is, right? Because I studied this enough, but it's not like I can draw this out for you. You don't need to see it. Blood, silt, disease. So think for a second. If you're like, I'm a sailor, right? You know what silt is. When you try to sail in and out of the channel and the silt has built up at the bottom of the channel, they get a barge and dredge all of the sand and mud and everything that's blocking the channel out of the channel so the boat doesn't run aground. You dredge the channel so that the water can come in and out and boats can come in and out without running aground. Blood silt disease. Blood silt disease makes total sense because dampness is a fluid and your fluids move inside your blood. So your blood cannot move all the dampness. The dampness is overwhelming your circulatory system and you get blood silt disease. And blood silt disease is partly, of course, like we would think in Western kind of thinking, a circulatory disease. But, and the important point about today's video is, non-dietary practices like exercise, like some of the things that I show you in the Pivot Protocol. In fact, there's one specific exercise that helps blood silt disease, not just for your whole body, but in the area where it's going to be the worst. In the organs where it's going to be the worst that it can possibly be. In other words, there's one area where you get concentrated blood stasis, blood silt disease. It's the epicenter of blood silt disease. And if you can't move the blood out of this area, it's like, you might get well, but, right? Especially if you're older, it's going to be very, very tough. You're making your job much harder than it needs to be. If you know what this exercise is, and you know how to target the area that's most affected by blood silt disease, blood stasis, then you know when you have dampness in the exterior and you need to get that out, this exercise helps you get it out. Now, I actually put this in a special report. In fairness to my students, obviously, and by the way, I can't show you on this video, so I'm telling you about it, like this is the problem. What you do about the problem is inside the master class. Now, I cover this, but I'm also telling you, like, if you know certain exercise obviously is the fountain of youth. And there's all manner of exercise. You don't have to do anything that fancy. Try any form of exercise. But if you know this kind of exercise, if you know the exact thing that I'm showing you, the targeted exercise that I have in the special report in the master class, you're way, way ahead of the game because you know exactly how to target the area that is most affected by blood silt disease. And blood silt disease is the most common complication when dampness is congesting the exterior. Okay, so hopefully this 3-video series makes good sense. Remember, my goal here is to teach you a different way of thinking, a different logic about how your body works, how it gets ill, and how you can recover your health. If we know all of those things and you paint a clear mental picture in your own mind about what's happening and then what to do about it according to the Pivot Protocol kind of logic, you're so far ahead of regular people, you're far ahead of what your doctor knows about your condition. The Pivot Protocol is teaching you how to understand all of the information that all of your organs are giving you. Not just, oh, well, you have acid and bile, so that must mean you have too much stomach acid, so we should just block your stomach acid, which is like idiotic. You can't block stomach acid and recover your digestive health. It's one or the other. And in fact, most people with acid and bile refluxing upward into your mouth and throat have too little stomach acid. The issue isn't stomach acid. The issue is that it needs to go down. And there's reasons why it's not going down. In fact, most people should increase their stomach acid. That's another thing that I teach you inside the Pivot Protocol. Exactly how to do that. Okay? It's very inexpensive and very safe, and you don't need to take pills from your doctor or any other such thing. Okay? So hopefully this helps. Sharing with you for free these concepts about how your digestive system works. And now that you understand how to decongest the exterior, hopefully also you'll get started, because this is all so clear inside the Pivot protocol, and I've made it so step-by-step and so easy for you. So hit me up with comments if you have anything to say about the video. I hope you like it. I hope it helps you. But I also hope if you're still on the fence, get started. The Pivot protocol is the best single way. Some people write me, they're like, oh, I have these symptoms. What should I do? It's like, well, are you a student? Like, get started. That's why I put the whole thing together. For less than the cost of one doctor visit and a copay and a 3 to 6 month supply of medicine that's not going to help you anyway, right? You could permanently change your digestive health for the better and not be sick for the rest of your life if you learn this system. It's a very, very simple protocol. So with that said, I hope you get started, but please leave me comments and tell me how I can help you better. Thank you.